hour left.
Hi, everybody. It's lovely to be back here again. Today, I'm with Aaron Abke. Hi, Aaron. It's lovely to see you, and thanks for agreeing to do this with us.
Hey, Susan. Always great to be with you.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So for those of you that don't know Aaron, he is a spiritual teacher with a massive YouTube channel, excellent YouTube channel with lots and lots of videos. Aaron has various influences, which he'll talk to us about in a moment. So Aaron, what was your path to becoming a spiritual teacher? How's that been? Tell us about your journey.
So in summary, I grew up as a pastor's kid in evangelical Christianity. Always wanted to be a pastor like my dad and kind of walked that road through ministry. Went to Oral Roberts University, got my degree in music and theology, and started my first job as a worship pastor. And through that, I sort of was led to eventually questioning my faith, questioning my religious beliefs, so to speak. And in that questioning found, a new path and walked that path until, I guess, where I am today.
So what have your influences been on that path?
So many, as is true for probably all of us. But, A Course in Miracles was and continues to be probably my biggest influence, at least what has helped me the most to integrate my understanding of oneness and really walking it and living it and embodying it. But other texts, the Law of One, to be a very, very close second for me. And many teachers, Alan Watts, Eckhart Tolle, Mooji, all of the sages, Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta, really, spent a lot of time in non-duality outside of A Course in Miracles, reading a lot of the works of Ramesh, Krishnamurti, and the others I've mentioned. So yeah, I've kind of dipped my hands into a lot of paths and have found that they really all point to the same truth.
Yeah. And I've heard you speak about a spiritual awakening that happened in your late 20s. Can you talk a bit about that? What happened? How did that change things?
Yeah, there was a big moment for me there. And there's been so many, as we walk through this journey, there's many awakenings we go through. But for me, there was one that was really kind of like shot me out of a cannonball, so to speak, or out of a cannon rather, which was at 27 after probably 4 or so years of seeking outside of my Christian faith, a lot of the Eastern traditions. And I was listening to Eckhart Tolle on the regular at that point. And I'd come out of my religion, had that awakening already, but I was really seeking for relief from my depression at the time. And so I was going up to this balcony at work every day, listening to Eckhart. And there was a certain lecture one day that Eckhart was sort of making light out of things the ego says to us and laughing at them. And I started to laugh with Eckhart on the recording because it was very funny what he was saying. Like, oh, that's exactly what my mind says every day. Like, we must all have the same ego or something. And then something in me just got it. And I saw this kind of hilarious predicament, you might say, really not a predicament, but almost like a joke that I had in my seeking to find God, to find enlightenment, to find freedom. God is the one ultimate subject, but I had turned that one absolute subject into an object, and I turned myself into the subject seeking that object. So like I was going to achieve God or something. And I saw the hilarious, paradox of that there is no subject seeking it. I am the subject. I am that. And it was just like, how could I have possibly missed something so flabbergastingly obvious is how it felt. And so I just was laughing up on this balcony, and I kind of, laughed myself into a kind of samadhi state where I just got it. It's all one. I am that. And I was so happy for about a 2-week period. I was in this very blissed out nirvana state. And as I often share when I tell this story, at the 2-week mark, I woke up one morning and I'd seen that it was 2 weeks exactly to the day. And I'd had this unbroken state of consciousness. And I went, wow, how amazing. I've had this for 2 whole weeks now. And then the thought came, I wonder if this will be my permanent state, if I will always be like this. Have I achieved it? And that was the ego coming back online and claiming this state for itself. And so then I went back into the person again, back into my old conditioning and habits for a while. But what that did for me was it gave me the experience of freedom and what that's like. And I couldn't unsee it or forget it. And so my whole life at that point, I kind of walked out of all the things I was doing, fitness modeling, bodybuilding. I was a personal trainer at Google. And all of it just had no more meaning for me because the story character had been seen through, so to speak. So I just devoted all my time to seeking, how do I return to that state? And really, how do I remember what that state was like? And it's been a slow cooking process, but each and every day I deepen into it more and more. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I've almost surpassed, if you could say, what that experience was like, because now the experience is that there's nobody having it. There's nobody doing it. There's less and less of feeling like I'm doing anything, but really that it's all just happening by divine grace. And so you just live with that gratitude.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that your reaction was laughter? Because the Course says, the tiny mad idea, when the Son of God remembered not to laugh. So that there is that thing, isn't there, of laughter.
Yeah.
So what's your practice now? What's your primary spiritual practice?
That's a great question.
Well.
So we go through ebbs and flows, and different practices will call to us, I think. And so I'm always trying to be on the journey in terms of what is most relevant for me, what is source, what is inner guru bringing to me now. And so things change and you go through seasons. And so for me right now, I feel like I spent a lot of time deeply in jnana, we could say, jnana yoga, which is the wisdom practice, non-duality, self-inquiry, negating the false, seeing illusions. And after a while, and this is why I love how the two paths are really one, but after a while in jnana, my heart started to get really hungry for bhakti, which is the love, the devotion, really all the things I had in Christianity. I grew up in bhakti, pure bhakti. We really had, our theology was horrible. I mean, we had everything wrong and mixed up. But the one thing we did have was this piercing desire for God. And I spent thousands of hours of my adolescence just in worship services, singing songs of praise and worship to God. And I kind of lost that when I left Christianity and went into the wisdom traditions. And that was very important for me. I needed that. And I gained a lot of the wisdom and the understanding of the divine nature that I was missing in Christianity. And then my heart began to return to, but I missed that love, that devotion, that innocent, pure-hearted, childlike desire for God. And so I've been really enjoying the bhakti aspect for a while now, of just every day I wake up, how can I fall more in love? How can I get more lost, more surrendered to the divine presence? How can I disappear even more into that love and just live in that heaven? And so every day I'm just looking for more opportunities to find love, which shows up as service to others. It really does. How can I make you happy? How can I serve? How can I extend this love to someone else? And as the Course teaches, as you know, it's really in the giving of love that we receive it for ourselves. So I think when the heart becomes surrendered to love and we want love more than anything else, then that natural desire comes to be of service and to give that love away in whatever way that happens. And so that's a really beautiful place to be right now.
Yeah. So you are going to be one of the speakers at the Awareness Conference next weekend. So what's your session on?
So I took a little bit of time thinking about this because there's so many things I love teaching on. But one of the things that has been really helpful for me in terms of my own spiritual balancing and growth has been understanding how to really balance the chakras and the energy centers, and really just what those energy centers represent and how they get blocked and how they get unblocked. And it's been a really helpful angle for me to understand those things. And so I wanted to talk about kind of the science of self-realization, because it is a science in the sense that everything is spiritual and everything is science, because the two are ultimately one. There's just one thing going on. So I like to, and I think it's helpful to look at things that typically we put into the category of like spiritual, woo-woo, metaphysical, not really understandable, in the ether, which is, chakras and energy work kind of falls into that. And so I mentioned the law of one a minute ago. One of the things I love about the law of one is that it really does give kind of more scientific language to these spiritual concepts, to help us understand what's really going on when we're balancing our energy or doing energy work like Reiki and so forth. And then how does that translate eventually to self-realization, God realization? And the law of one explains how it happens literally in the chakra network as we heal, which is what A Course in Miracles talks about. How do we heal? How do we open the heart to love? The energy of the Kundalini is moving up the energy network. And as each chakra gets unblocked, we allow that cosmic prana to make its way up to eventually the third eye. And this is why especially in the Hindu traditions and in the Buddhist traditions to an extent, there's a lot of focus on the third eye, and even looking at the third eye in meditation and trying to charge the third eye, because that's really the place where self-realization takes place. And so the law of one says that by opening the chakras through spiritual balancing, spiritual growth, we allow that energy to make its way up to the third eye. And when the upward spiraling earthly prana, we could say, meets the downward spiraling cosmic prana in that Kundalini, when those two energies meet at the third eye, that's where realization of the one takes place. And so it's a very almost like finely tuned thing that has to happen, which is why self-realization is kind of more of a rare thing for a human to experience, because there's so much work to be done on these centers before it can get to this center. So I really want to talk about what is that? How do we do that? What does that look like practically, so that we can really allow our energy to become balanced to where divine knowledge, self-realization becomes much more accessible?
So A Course in Miracles teaches, and this can be misunderstood, so I want you to speak to this. A Course in Miracles teaches I'm not a body. And for that reason, often course students think, well, there's nothing I need to do with the body because I'm not a body. So how do you marry those two things?
Yeah, excellent question. And that's very much what the law of one teaches as well. But the body is the course teaches that the body is the means of communication for the mind to the spirit. So like, in a sense, you are pure consciousness. That's what the Christ is in ACIM. The Christ is consciousness, God's only begotten Son. And so for consciousness to know itself, to learn about itself, to experience itself, it needs a mind and a body to do that, because consciousness is formless. It has no form at all. So to plug into the dream world, you need a dream body. But the whole purpose of the dream body is to be transcended. It is the vehicle for self-realization, because the body plugs us into reality so we can move in the world, have experiences, have catalysts to learn these lessons of love and oneness. Without a body and a mind, that wouldn't be possible. So everything is divine in its own right, but everything is created to be transcended. So the Course points to that idea by saying you're not the body. You are the light beyond the body. You are the Christ. And so how do we realize that? How do I realize I'm not a body? Because that's just a concept, right? It's just an idea, and ideas are only pointers. They point us to the reality. And so I guess the lecture is going to be about this idea of how do we use the body, use the energy body, understanding how it works to show us our true nature, because that's what it's doing, right? Those 7 chakras are 7 different aspects of your nature. We have the lower 3 chakras, which are like the primal earthly chakras, which represent our primal nature, our relationship to self, our relationship to the other. The heart chakra represents,
just in case people don't know.
Sure,
there may be people listening who are not familiar with the chakra system. So what are the chakras?
So the 7 chakras we have the root at the bottom, kind of like in the perennial muscle area where the legs connect at the root, the base of the body, root of the spine. Second chakra is the sacral chakra, which is kind of like where your digestive organs are in the gut, the lower gut. The third chakra or energy center is the solar plexus, which is kind of like right here at the below the sternum. And then heart chakra, of course, at the heart center is the fourth. Fifth chakra is the throat chakra. Sixth is the pineal gland or third eye. And then the seventh is the crown chakra. So essentially, these are energy centers which are responsible for the energetic makeup of this mind, body, spirit complex. So I'll give you one example to help you maybe translate how this plays out. In the Law of One, they talk about certain distortions, or the way we express ourselves can sometimes show what distortions we have, right? If somebody's insecure, if I have an insecurity issue, that would be a sacral chakra distortion, meaning there's some energetic distortion happening in the sacral chakra, because that's the chakra that holds the energies of my relationship to myself. How I think about myself, how I feel about myself. Do I like myself? Do I accept myself? That's all sacral chakra stuff. So if I don't like myself, that will create a blockage. If I learn to love and accept myself, that will open that blockage, allowing the energy to flow up to the next chakra and then to the next chakra. As I said, hopefully, eventually, as we do enough spiritual work, it can make its way all the way up to the third eye. And that's where ACIM talks about vision. The vision of Christ is the third eye. It's spiritual vision, the vision of oneness. You only have access to seeing the oneness of all things if you have first worked out oneness within yourself, loving every part of yourself, accepting every part of yourself as equally divine, equally valid. The course does this energy work without ever talking about it in those terms, right? This isn't something you need to know to spiritually evolve. You just need to know how to meet the moment with love. And slowly, all those distortions will unblock themselves. But it can be very helpful to know what's actually happening on an energetic level. So that'll kind of be what the talk will be geared towards.
Yeah. And so you said that the lower chakras meet the upper chakras at the third eye. So what that process, what happens there?
Yeah, so just like the Earth, planet Earth has a positive pole on the top and a negative pole at the bottom, or the north and the south. We are exactly the same. We have a positive and a negative pole. The negative pole is at the root chakra at the base, and that is the attracting energy, right? The energy that attracts catalyst and experience to us. We talk about this in the law of attraction. We say, you will attract what you have not yet healed in yourself. So if I have let's say some resentment towards men or whatever, you'll find that you'll have lots of men in your life that trigger that resentment, won't you? Because the negative pole of the energy body is literally attracting those catalysts to you. So the way to stop attracting those experiences is to heal that imbalance. And then there's no energy that can attract that experience to you because you've mastered it, you've transcended it. So that's the negative energy. It's the in-streaming. And then at the positive pole, that's the outpouring energy, the positive polarity. So those two energies meet, and that's why we show the Kundalini as the snake or the spiral. The upward spiraling earthly prana and the downward spiraling cosmic prana are always meeting somewhere. And typically, for most people, they're meeting somewhere in the lower chakras because they haven't unblocked them yet. There's lots of distortions there. So the energy can't go any further. And as we unblock, the meeting place goes higher and higher and higher until eventually it can meet at, sorry, I think I froze for a second.
Just a second.
Eventually, the meeting place can happen at the third eye, where realization of the one becomes accessible.
Yeah. So for someone who is considering coming to the conference and possibly attending your lecture, what form is it going to take? Is it is it an experiential thing, or what's the form of the lecture? And if somebody does come to it, what benefit would you expect them to have? I mean, what, in bold terms, what's in it for them to attend your particular workshop? I think you're frozen.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I didn't hear that. No, you were frozen.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I think you're back. Are you back? Okay, I think we've lost Aaron, unfortunately. So, oh, is that you back? Are you there, Aaron? I think you're back.
Okay, are we back?
Yeah, you're back.
This
Hopefully
is
you'll
super
stay
weird.
back.
I've never had this happen before.
No,
I pay good money for the best internet. This shouldn't be happening.
Okay, I don't think, you just keep freezing. So I'll just finish. That's a shame that we didn't get to finish our conversation. But just to say, oh, you back or not back? Aaron's session is on Friday. The conference opens on Friday, April the 16th, and Aaron's session will be at 7 p.m. Eastern for 90 minutes. And hopefully you've heard enough here today to make the decision whether this is something that interests you. I think it's really fascinating material. And it's a shame, as I say, I don't know, Cindy, whether you want to come on and just close the conversation with me. Cindy's in the background. Hi, we've just lost Aaron completely.
Oh no, we could never lose Aaron completely. That was so much fun to watch. And man, I'm just really excited. And we were talking about the energy of Colorado, right? There's so much spiritual truth and love coming through Colorado right now.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
much energy, it's freezing up his internet.
right. Well, there is that too. So if you are here, and I know you're loving it, I was watching the comments, hit that share button and get the word out. There are thousands and thousands of people that have already registered for this conference. You're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to bring your friends. If you're still around in about an hour and a half, we're bringing Carol Howe to this Facebook page. And if you haven't spent time with Carol Howe, you're going to want to just hang out with her because it feels wonderful. But that's about it. I love you, Susan.
I love you too.
And we love you, Aaron, if you can hear us.
I was just going to say, if you can hear us.
All right.
Thanks
Bye,
very
everyone.
much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And then something happened. Oops. Oh, bye, everyone. We're still on Facebook.
We're still on Facebook. Yeah, I can see we're